The ex-wife just wants to make monies. Zachary lost his memory due to a car accident. He forgot about me and only remembered the delicate girl who was in the car accident with him. He said he wanted to divorce me and marry that delicate girl. Without hesitation, I agreed. Later, he regained his memory and searched for me all over the world. I heard from a friend that he even had an accident while speeding late at night because of me. Just as I came out of the hospital, I received a call from Zachary's assistant. "Luna," she said in a hurry on the phone. "Selena. President Zachary had a car accident and is in Renman Hospital." When I changed my route and went to Renman Hospital, Zachary was comforting the disoriented Luna. He held Luna's hand and said in a gentle tone, "Luna, I'm okay." Zachary was indeed fine. But there was something wrong with our marriage. Zachary didn't recognize me. The doctor said that although the car accident wasn't serious, it injured Zachary's brain, and he had temporary and selective amnesia. Looking at his action of comforting Luna, I firmly believed what the doctors said about his damaged brain. Zachary and I were college classmates. We had known each other for 10 years, been in a relationship for 4 years, and been married for 3 years. He has a good-looking appearance. There were quite a few girls who liked him during college. After graduation, he started his own business and became a domineering CEO. And there were even more girls who liked him. But I never took these girls seriously. When I first met Zachary, it was the most difficult time for him. At that time, his parents got divorced, and he was doubting his life. Weren't his parents always on good terms? Why did they get divorced as soon as he entered college? So, during his freshman year, he often drank alcohol. Once when I was out, I picked him up and brought him back to school when he was drunk. Seeing his half-dead appearance, I took good care of him and gradually became very close friends with him. How close were we? He sent me a message late at night saying that he wanted to eat barbecue, and I could give up my warm bed to accompany him to eat barbecue in 0-degree weather. When I was playing games in the dormitory on weekends and didn't have time to go downstairs for lunch, I sent him a message saying that the snail rice noodles at the school gate seemed very delicious. Within half an hour, he would appear downstairs of my dormitory with a smile, holding snail rice noodles in his hand. During winter and summer vacations, when he went home and felt uncomfortable staying with either of his parents, he called me, and I bought the nearest flight to fly to his city just to meet him and comfort him. And so on. When we were about to graduate from our senior year, he suddenly confessed his love to me. Under a starry sky, he held the flowers I liked the most and said, "Selena, I like you." With these simple 6 words, I nodded and became his girlfriend. Because I liked him too. There's no such thing as just good friends. It's just that I was secretly in love with him under the guise of being friends. 1 year after graduation, he, like a young and fearless calf, used the money given by his parents to choose to start a business. I left my job and accompanied him to start the business. Because we had no experience and it all relied on our courage, we stumbled along for a long time. At first, we drank with customers together and vomited when looking at each other's faces. But even though we worked so hard, the company still didn't show any signs of improvement. It once reached the point where he couldn't even pay the employees' salaries. And it was only after we scraped together money that we could pay off the employees' salaries. At that time, he hugged me and shed tears several times, saying, "Selena, if I betray you in this life, I'll be worse than a pig or a dog, and I'll be struck by lightning." In this way, after enduring for a year or 2, the company finally got on the right track. Not long after the company got on the right track, he proposed to me. He said, "Selena, we have been through 7 years together. There will never be a more compatible partner than us. And there will never be a more loving couple than us. So, let's get married." There was no bride price. And there was no dowry. We bought a house near the company together as our marital home and got married. In the 3 years after marriage, we rarely quarreled. Except for, at this moment, I looked at the 2 people holding hands tightly in the ward. I felt both amused and annoyed. And at the same time, my face felt a burning pain. Luna probably felt embarrassed. After all, when she graduated and joined the company the year before last, Her family happened to be in trouble and urgently needed money. It was me who lent her a sum of money to help her out. So, she kept her head down and even tried to shake off Zachary's hand. However, Zachary held her hand even more tightly and looked at me directly, asking, "Who are you?" This was a good question. Let me think about it. After a while, I said, "I'm your boss." Zachary frowned. He should be angry and said unhappily, "Don't be sarcastic. I know who I am." I raised my eyebrows and said, "So you still know who you are? I thought you lost your memory so much that you had no idea about yourself." Zachary. At first, Zachary refused to admit that I was his wife. His exact words were, "The person I like has always been Luna. How could I have married you? Look at your face and your figure. They are all the types I hate the most. I have a serious-looking face. When I don't smile, even the neighbors' children are afraid of me when they come to my house as guests. And I can't change that. As for my figure, it's because I'm for months pregnant. After getting pregnant, not only do I not have morning sickness, but I also want to eat all kinds of things. In just 4 months, I've gained more than 10 pounds. At first, I thought that Zachary just mistook Luna for me after losing his memory. Until he said again, "Impossible. Absolutely impossible. I drove to find Luna today to propose to her. I remember it clearly." He also looked at Luna on the side to confirm and said, "Right. Luna? We said that we would overcome all difficulties and be together bravely." Luna didn't say anything, but her expression showed that she agreed with Zachary's words. I suddenly understood. Zachary cheated on me. He and Luna had already been having an affair, and I was the only fool who was kept in the dark. After a while, Luna also looked at me, as if she had made a major decision, and said, "Selena, I'm sorry. Zachary and I are truly in love." I took 3 seconds to digest this fact and said, "True love can take a back seat. First, learn about the crime of bigamy." Zachary. Luna. A few days later, Zachary was discharged from the hospital. I slapped the marriage certificate in front of Zachary, and he had to accept this fact. Zachary stared at the marriage certificate in silence for a long time. Finally, having fulfilled right sigh, he looked up and said, "Let's get a divorce." He once started our relationship with 6 words. And now he wanted to end our marriage with 5 words. In the past few days, I have also investigated clearly when Zachary and Luna started having an affair. Actually, I didn't even need to investigate carefully. Luna wanted to take advantage of Zachary's amnesia to take my place directly. She came to me herself and told me about it. She and Zachary started having an affair when her family had trouble. Or rather, that's when Zachary noticed Luna. It was 2 years ago. Luna's mother was seriously ill and urgently needed a sum of money for treatment in the hospital. Luna tried to borrow money everywhere but failed. In the end, it was me who lent her 100 yuan to help her out. I also learned about her family situation. In middle school, her parents got divorced, and she was awarded to her mother. Her family conditions were not good, and she even went to college with a loan. At that time, I told Zachary that I really liked this little girl and thought she had perseverance. Even though she was living in difficult circumstances, she could still make her life bloom brightly. Zachary even teased me and said, "Is her current situation a bit similar to mine when I first met you? Are you committed to becoming everyone's savior?" But in the end, these 2 people who needed to be saved got together. It's quite ridiculous. Luna continued to say. At first, President Zachary and I were really just good friends. In Luna's words, once, because of her mother's illness, she came to work with red eyes. Coincidentally, Zachary happened to see her. Zachary comforted her a few words. But at first, Zachary just chatted with her occasionally during his spare time from work and comforted her. Their family environments were a little bit similar. Both of their parents were divorced, which became their common topic and the reason for them to feel a connection with each other. Zachary understood her embarrassment and discomfort every time she went to see her father, and she understood Zachary's desolation at having nowhere to go during festivals all those years. So, they chatted more and more enthusiastically, and the more they talked, the more they felt that they had met too late. Once, Zachary drank too much and said to her, "If I hadn't met Selena earlier, and if time could be turned back a few years, I would definitely like you and pursue you." I asked, "So, you two got together?" Luna shook her head and said, "No. Luna and Zachary really got together in the second month after I got pregnant." Zachary drank too much again and asked her out for a heart-to-heart talk in the middle of the night. And then they ended up in bed. I suddenly remembered that the first time Zachary and I quarreled in the 3 years of our marriage was exactly in the second month after I got pregnant. One night, he drank a lot of wine and didn't come back until late at night. I disliked the strong smell of alcohol on him and pushed him away, telling him to stay away from me because I was pregnant. He angrily accused me of not caring about him and not even asking him why he drank so much. He kept repeating those words over and over again until I scolded him, and we had a cold war for 2 days. So, his sudden abnormality that night was because he had an affair. I immediately understood the reason why they got together. I, who had never had morning sickness since getting pregnant, vomited. At this moment, looking at Zachary, I couldn't help but want to vomit again. I suppressed the urge to roar and said calmly, "Let's get a divorce." Whoever doesn't get a divorce is a coward. But it's easier said than done to get a divorce. If we really get a divorce, it will be a huge blow to both of us. Zachary's mother, in particular, didn't agree to our divorce. The day after Zachary and I decided to get a divorce, she came to see me. She divorced Zachary's father because Zachary's father had an affair during their marriage. After they divorced, Zachary's father remarried soon. But she didn't. So, Zachary was closer to her. After Zachary and I settled in City A, Zachary brought her to City A. She liked me very much. In the 3 years after our marriage, we got along very harmoniously. Even the most difficult mother-in-law and daughter-in-law relationship in the world wasn't a problem for us. After she knew that I had accompanied Zachary through the most difficult period of his life, she even hugged me and cried, saying, "My dear daughter. Thank you. From now on, you're also my real daughter." She wasn't just saying it. In the 3 years since Zachary and I got married, she really treated me like her own daughter for 3 years. When I was too busy at the company to have time for a meal, she would specially bring me food. She remembered that I don't eat scallions, so there would never be scallions in any dish cooked at home. When we went shopping outside and she saw something I liked, she would definitely buy it back for me. While other mothers-in-law urge their children to have babies, she never did. She said, "My dear daughter, giving birth is painful. Even if you two are a DINK couple, I will accept it." After learning that I was pregnant, she even secretly cried several times. Once, when I got home, I heard her saying to the aunt who danced square dance with her downstairs, "Fortunately, my daughter doesn't have morning sickness or feel uncomfortable after getting pregnant. Otherwise, I would feel so heartbroken." She wasn't just talking. When I first found out I was pregnant, she was even more nervous than Zachary. She wished she could follow me all the time, for fear that something might happen to me. As soon as I said I wanted to eat something, she could immediately get it for me. I can gain more than 10 pounds. And she played a big part in it. I used to joke with her, "Mom, if this goes on, I'll weigh 180 pounds. She said, "Even if you weigh 180 pounds, you're still my most beautiful daughter." However, I haven't reached 180 pounds yet, but I'm about to stop being her daughter soon. Zachary's mother lives just upstairs from us. When she came, Zachary had already gone to be with Luna, as Luna had called him and said she wasn't feeling well. It was only then that I found out that although he had only been with Luna for a little over 2 months, he had already bought a villa for her. I didn't stop him from going to see Luna. For someone who doesn't want to stay, even if you die in front of them, they won't spare you a second glance. Instead, they'll think your body is blocking their way. When Zachary's mother saw me sitting alone on the sofa, she asked, "Dear, where's Zachary?" I said, "He's gone to be with Luna. Luna has a fever today." In an instant, Zachary's mother changed from a kind and reasonable mother-in-law to a shrew cursing in the street. "A fever? More like she's being a slut." During the pause of her cursing, she took out her phone and called Zachary. As soon as the call connected, her fighting spirit escalated again. Zachary. I remember clearly that I gave birth to a human being. How on earth did you turn yourself into something worse than a beast? Zachary, Mom. Zachary's mother interrupted him. I'll give you half an hour. If you don't come home, don't call me Mom anymore in the future. Before Zachary could say anything, there was the sound of a glass breaking on the ground on the other end of the phone, followed by Luna's thrilling scream, "Ah!" Then Zachary didn't say anything more. He left a sentence. "Mom." Luna fell. "I'm hanging up now," and actually hung up the phone. When Zachary's mother called again, Zachary didn't answer the phone. Zachary's mother looked as if she really wanted to smash the phone. Probably because she was concerned that I was beside her. She held back and just threw the phone heavily onto the coffee table. It took her a long time to calm down before she said to me, "Dear, divorce is not good for either of you." As she spoke, probably remembering her own unhappy marriage with Zachary's father, she started cursing again. "That son of a bitch Zachary. I'll break his legs sooner or later." She wasn't just talking big. On the first day Zachary was hospitalized due to a car accident, she went to the hospital to see him. But when she saw that Zachary didn't recognize me, and firmly believed that Luna was the love of his life, she directly slapped him in the face. She also turned around and gave Luna a good beating, shouting as she hit, "True love? If this son of a bitch really loves you, would he let you be the mistress?" Finally, having fulfilled the doctor came over and stopped her from hitting Luna any further. But perhaps it was precisely because she had beaten Luna that Zachary was even more convinced that Luna was his true love, and that both I and Zachary's mother were stumbling blocks on his path to pursuing true love. So, he didn't have a good attitude towards either me or Zachary's mother. That's why, except for the first day he was hospitalized when Zachary's mother and I went to see him, we didn't visit him in the hospital during the days he was there. "You can't get a divorce." Zachary's mother's voice interrupted my thoughts. She said angrily, "Why? Why should the company that you and Zachary worked so hard to build be given away to that fox spirit just because of a divorce?" To be honest, at this moment, I can't tell whether Zachary's mother is truly standing up for me or if she just doesn't want us to get a divorce, because I might get a share of her son's property in the divorce. Zachary and I were together for 10 years. And he still betrayed me. What's more, he even managed to act as if everything was fine during these 10 years. After all, she is Zachary's mother. Looking at her indignant face, I said, "Mom, I'm definitely going to get a divorce. If I can accept Zachary's infidelity. To put it bluntly, what's the difference between that and forcing myself to swallow dozens of pounds of flies? Moreover, there are only 2 situations regarding infidelity, 0 times or countless times. However, I'm determined to fight for the company that Zachary's mother mentioned. Zachary and I may not be extremely wealthy, but in the city of A, which is not a small city, we have achieved some success. The company's annual income is in the 9-digit range. I'm the vice president of the company and also a shareholder. Zachary's mother, dear. But what about the child? I fell silent. The child is the only thing I haven't decided what to do with yet. The child has been in my womb for almost 5 months. And I can already feel it moving. The day Zachary had the car accident, I just had a prenatal checkup, and everything was normal. Looking at my belly, Zachary's mother said again, "The child will be born into a single-parent family. How pitiful the child will be." As she spoke, she started crying. The next day, having fulfilled my assertion, my parents also came to City A. After learning the ins and outs of my decision to get a divorce, my mother could only cry, and my father was silent for a long time before saying, "Get a divorce. As for the child, it's up to you. If you want to keep it, we can help take care of it." I thought about it all night and finally made a decision. And 3 days after I made the decision, Luna came to find me again. Because I fired her from the company immediately and also hired a lawyer to get back the villa that Zachary had given her. She came to talk to me about the villa. Probably because Zachary has lost his memory now and is completely on her side. She didn't pretend anymore. Her words were so ridiculous that they were truly absurd. She said, "Selena, in love, there's no such thing as first come. first served. The one who isn't loved is the third party. I gave her a disdainful look. You can even call a dream of marrying into a wealthy family love. Look at how proud you are. Luna. Probably to prove to me that they were truly in love. Luna played a piece of audio for me. It was Zachary's voice coming from the audio. Zachary said in a gentle tone, Luna. We've been through life and death together. I've realized that we only live for a few decades in our lives. Even if there are huge obstacles, we must be together. Looking at Luna's triumphant face, I said coldly, how novel. Even a beast can learn to speak like a human. Although what it says isn't human language either. You. Before she could say anything more, I said again, you two aren't even human. What do you need a villa for? You can just find a cave and make do with it for the rest of your lives. She gritted her teeth, Selena. I interrupted her again, don't bother me anymore. Otherwise, I'll buy a trending topic to open everyone's eyes, and let them see what a beast in human form looks like. In fact, on the first day Zachary had the car accident, I wanted to expose his affair with Luna to the public. But doing so would affect the operation of the company. I still have a stake in the company at present, and I can't lose the bigger picture because of this cheating couple. Moreover, I'm also afraid that after exposing their affair to the public, Zachary might change his mind about divorcing me under the pressure of public opinion. In the end, Luna didn't dare to say any more anti-actual words to me, and left. I don't know what Luna told Zachary. Half a month later, Zachary, who had been living with Luna, came back. When Zachary came back, I had just had an induced abortion operation not long ago, and had just returned from the hospital. I was lying in bed, feeling very weak. He looked down at me haughtily, and said angrily, Selena, we're about to get a divorce. Why do you have to be so aggressive? Buying a villa for Luna is my own business, and has nothing to do with you. I glanced at him. Are you illegal illiterate? Or did you lose your brain along with your memory? In fact, I know very well that Zachary didn't lose his brain along with his memory. It's just that before he lost his memory, he was morally bound by the 10 years we had spent together. Even if he had thought about divorcing me, he couldn't make that decision. Now that he has lost his memory, without the emotional tie of those 10 years or the binding of the kindness I showed him during those 10 years, he can freely be himself. He doesn't admire strength. Instead, he enjoys Luna's dependence on him, which can satisfy his vanity of being needed. Using Luna's words to provoke me, Zachary would rather be the light that is chaste. Sure enough, after I made sarcastic remarks to him, he said again, Selena, do you know why I knew at the first sight that you couldn't be the person I like? It's because your strong personality is really annoying. My personality is indeed very strong. But at the beginning, Zachary clearly said that he liked my strong personality. He said that if I hadn't forcefully entered his life, he might have been a failure since his freshman year. If it weren't for my strong personality. When we encountered setbacks in our initial business venture and he wanted to give up, I pulled him up, and we wouldn't be where we are today. When we got married, there was still a glimmer of light in his eyes when he looked at me. He said I was his salvation in life. Now, he has lost his memory. The great brilliance I once had in his eyes has now become dazzling. I twitched the corners of my mouth. What a coincidence. I also find your cowardly behavior of daring to do it, but not daring to admit it in the past disgusting. Don't be in a hurry to bark at me. Return the villa you gave to Luna. After the divorce, you can buy whatever you want for her. Otherwise, I will definitely sue Luna in court. Before Zachary could say anything, his back of the head was suddenly hit by a slipper. He turned around and saw his mother holding another slipper in her hand. She rushed over and slapped him in the face with the slipper again. Selena has just had an induced abortion. What the hell are you barking about here? Zachary. Only then did Zachary look at me again. You had an abortion? Me. Don't act as if you cared about it. But he did care. He cared about the existence of this child because when dividing the property, he might need to pay me an additional alimony. Zachary's mother had even warned him that if he insisted on getting a divorce, he should divide half of his shares in the company to the child. Originally, having fulfilled my accept, I already owned 35 of the shares in the company. If he had to divide his shares because of this child, The company would undoubtedly change its ownership. So I clearly saw him heave a sigh of relief. Look. This is his true nature. And he actually pretended to be deeply in love with me for 10 years. And I didn't even notice it. Oscar rose him a little golden statue. After Zachary's mother drove Zachary out with the slipper, she looked at me with sadness and pity. She wanted to say something but finally didn't say anything. She really felt sorry for me. On the day of my operation, I didn't tell her originally. I don't know how she found out. When I came out of the operating room, I saw her standing outside with tears in her eyes. When she saw me come out, she rushed forward even before my mother did, grabbed my hand, and started crying even harder. Sobbing, dear. During the more than 10 days I was in the hospital, she came to see me almost every day. After I was discharged from the hospital, she cooked for me herself. She said, when the fate is over, we should part on good terms. But I know that she herself is not feeling well either. When Zachary quarreled with her because of Luna, he stabbed her in the heart. It was when she warned Zachary that if he insisted on getting a divorce, he should divide half of his shares in the company to the child. Zachary shouted at her, "You don't even help your own son. No wonder Dad divorced you." It was at that moment that I suddenly stopped loving Zachary. I took another half a month to recuperate before I approached Zachary to talk about the divorce. During these half a month, apart from the day when he came home and was scolded by both me and Zachary's mother, Zachary basically stayed with Luna. It should be that Zachary made new promises to Luna. Although Luna was unhappy, she still returned the villa and the money that Zachary had given her in the past few months. What I didn't expect was that when Zachary was discussing the divorce agreement with me, he actually had the nerve to hope that I would give up my shares in the company. "I'll give you the car, the house, having fulfilled Wi-Fi, and all the savings. But if we want to break up, we should do it cleanly. Since we're getting a divorce. If we're still in the same company, I'm afraid Luna will misunderstand." He had no sense of shame at all. "So, you give up the shares in your hand and leave the company." Me? I looked at him with the eyes of someone looking at an idiot. After pondering for a moment, I nodded. "You're right. We can't let Luna misunderstand. So, to avoid Luna's misunderstanding, you should leave the marriage with nothing. You already have your love. So you can't care about these shares and this money anymore, right? Zachary, the company was built up by me single and Afshan. It has nothing to do with you originally." I sneered. "You were hit by a car and became brainless. I don't blame you. Let me remind you that when you couldn't pay the salaries, it was my parents' money that I used to help pay them. And at that time, I bought shares in the company. I participated throughout the whole process and contributed both money and effort to make the company reach its current scale." Zachary. Me, stop being so nagging. It would be bad if Luna misunderstood that you don't want a divorce. At this time, Zachary stopped talking about whether Luna would misunderstand or not. He firmly hoped that I would give up my shares in the company or sell them to him at the lowest price. Therefore, we didn't reach an agreement on the divorce agreement for the first time. I was anxious. The doctor said that Zachary's amnesia was temporary. I was afraid that if we dragged it on any longer, before we got the divorce, he would regain his memory and start pretending to be a decent person again. And then it would be even more difficult to get a divorce. And a divorce lawsuit would be time-consuming and troublesome. So, while calling Zachary 3 times a day to greet him, I also put pressure on Luna. The means included but were not limited to having people analyze the past between Zachary and me to her. And also analyzing for her that in case Zachary suddenly regained his memory, her plan to take my place would fail. After tossing around like this for half a month, Zachary still didn't budge. I became even more anxious. Just after I had submitted the materials for a divorce lawsuit to the court, things took a turn. Luna was pregnant. Thank her. Sincerely. Guys, let me popularize something for you. The logic of a mother becomes noble because of her son is wrong. It should be that a son becomes noble because of his mother. After Zachary lost his memory, he didn't care about the child in my belly at all and even thought of it as a burden. After I had an induced abortion, he even breathed a sigh of relief. But after Luna got pregnant, Zachary was obviously different. It was rare that he condescended to come to talk to me on his own initiative, without me bringing up the divorce agreement. Although what he said still wasn't pleasant. Selena. What conditions would make you give up the shares in your hand? I pondered for 3 seconds, and made an exorbitant demand. 10 billion yuan. He was completely broken. Why don't you just go rob? Not to mention that I don't have that much. Are you really that greedy for money? I shrugged inferiorly and smiled happily. Then let's not get a divorce. I've thought it through during this period. Why get a divorce? As long as we don't get a divorce, we're still a legal couple. Whenever you spend a penny on Luna, I'll sue Luna once and make her life difficult. The child in Luna's belly. Your child. Will also be branded as an illegitimate child from birth, and will never be able to hold his head up in front of others. Just thinking about it makes me feel great. Zachary. Before Zachary could get angry enough to turn over the table, I stood up and left directly. Hap. It's not me begging you for a divorce now. It's you who should be begging me for a divorce. A few days later, there was a business banquet and invited both Zachary and me. I didn't want to go originally. During this period, in order to prevent Zachary from suddenly remembering me, I specifically went on Zachary to look up ways for selective amnesia to recover, so as to try my best to avoid actions that might make Zachary suddenly remember me. As a result, I accidentally slid into an amnesia novel. I thought it was all the same. Art comes from life. When I was getting excited reading it, it said at the end, to be continued. Me. I was so angry. I angrily entered the comment section, author. I'm a distinguished member. It's so short. How dare you? Fortunately, hadn't fulfilled me. I had also found out quite a lot. And combined with the doctor's instructions, I summarized it. The most important thing was that I should show up less in front of Zachary and not stimulate him. But when I learned that Zachary was going to take Luna with him, I immediately put on a glamorous makeup and attended the banquet. The main purpose was to stimulate Luna, make her life difficult, and make her quarrel with Zachary. At the business banquet, I deliberately took Zachary's arm and, within Luna's sight, kissed Zachary and then smiled at him in an info way. This action successfully made both of us feel disgusted, and also successfully made Luna lose her temper. Her veins were bulging. But there were so many people that she couldn't vent her anger. It was my turn to smile provocatively at her. Letting go of Zachary. As I passed by her, I whispered to her. It doesn't feel good to be a mistress. Does it? The man you love is right in front of you. But you don't even have the right to go up and hold his hand. Luna's face lost all its color after hearing my words. I added. I've made an agreement with Zachary. We're not getting a divorce. Luna. After provoking Luna, I found a corner and sat down. In the time it took me to drink a glass of juice, there was someone sitting opposite me. Jason, Lynette, the prodigal son of a wealthy family from a rival company. He glanced at Zachary, who was comforting Luna in another corner not far away, and said coolly, President Selena, am I drunk and having a hallucination? It seems that your head is a bit green. I glanced at him. Are you gloating? He actually nodded and said, it's also a great pleasure in life to watch the CEO of a rival company ruin himself. Me. The corner of my mouth twitched. You're so sincere. Then I thought about it, and it made sense. This kid has always been so sincere. Just last year, he graduated and joined his family's company. After losing the competition for a project with us, he secretly came to our company and replaced the lucky cat ornament placed at the reception desk with a bye cat that waved its hands. I caught him red-handed. He wasn't embarrassed at all and even said confidently, the real business war is often so simple and unadorned. I was amused by him and didn't argue with a kid like him. I even treated him to a cup of milk tea. During the time of drinking a cup of milk tea, he complained to me with a long face that his father had scolded him for half an hour because he didn't get this order. His father didn't actually need this order. The Jason family was really a wealthy family in City A. I guess his father just simply disliked that Jason was too inexperienced and found a reason to scold Jason. At this moment, after sincerely gloating about the problems in my marriage, Jason sincerely asked, was President Zachary's head pinched by the car door when he had the car accident? Me. Look. Even outsiders know what's important. Zachary, because of his amnesia, has turned himself into an idiot. Once the news of our divorce spreads, the company's stock price will be volatile for a while. And it will immediately become a problem whether several big orders that I signed before can be renewed. I'm not just his wife, but also his partner and half of the decision maker of the company. But following Jason's gaze and looking sideways at the two people who were already hugging, I could only nod. There was no way to hide it anymore. Fortunately, we could get divorced soon. There wasn't much time left to hide it. Sure enough, the next day, Zachary compromised. It was only then that I realized that before Zachary lost his memory, he had already been on guard against me. I had been bargaining with him for so long. And I had just managed to keep my pre-emerita property, and the property I had earned through my own efforts after marriage. He didn't let me take any advantage at all. In order to get a divorce before he regained his memory, I didn't want to argue with him anymore. After another month of intense bargaining, I finally survived the divorce cooling off period. After getting divorced and coming out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, I suddenly remembered the scene when we got the marriage certificate more than 3 years ago. After we came out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, he hugged me and kissed me and said excitedly, "Selena, you're my wife from now on." He even called me wife several times in a row. He only stopped when he finally realized that his behavior was stupid. At the moment, I looked at Zachary, who was staring at the divorce certificate in his hand for a while. For some reason, he called me Selena. I frowned. I hoped that he didn't suddenly regain his memory just after getting the divorce certificate. That would be really ridiculous. Before I had time to think deeply about it, Luna, who was waiting by the roadside, stepped forward and took Zachary's arm. This time, the look in her eyes when she looked at me was finally truly triumphant. It seemed that she wanted to taunt me a few words. However, I didn't have the time to listen to her stupid words. I was busy selling the shares of the company in my hand and the marital house that Zachary and I used to live in. Was Zachary acting like an idiot due to his amnesia? I was afraid of losing money along with him. 3 months later, I sold the shares in my hand, left the company, and at the same time, released the news of my divorce from Zachary, and also revealed the fact that he had an affair with Luna during the marriage. Several big orders that I had negotiated before in the company and were about to be renewed were not renewed, which was a bargain for the Jason family. When Jason came to chat with me excitedly, I was still on vacation, lying on the beach with an empty mind. After living in City A for 10 years, I first discovered that City A, this coastal city, was so beautiful. The sunshine, the waves, and the handsome men with six-pack abs were all so pleasing to the eye. It would be even more pleasing to the eye if Jason wasn't chattering in my ear. He was extremely excited. "Sister Selena, stop staring at those six-pack abs. Looking at everything will only harm you." I turned my head to look at him. He continued to be excited. "My dad praised me today." I gave him a blank look. "Did your dad praise you for taking advantage of others' misfortunes and poaching people well? Or did he praise you for idly supporting a team that doesn't have to do anything with a salary 1.5 times higher than the market price and being good at wasting money?" Jason. The people that Jason poached were exactly the ones that I had trained in Zachary's company before. Zachary might really have become an idiot because of the car accident. Because of our divorce. He had persecutory delusions and thought that I would definitely take revenge on him and make the people I had trained before cause trouble for him. Of course, it might also be that the people I had trained before, after learning about the affair between Luna and Zachary, discussed it a few more times behind their backs. Unfortunately, Luna happened to hear it. So, even though Zachary bought back the shares in my hand at a high price, he still suppressed the people I had trained before. Jason seized the opportunity and poached them all at once and idly supported them. He was very generous. Well, problems that can be solved with money are not problems at all. Me. I don't care how Zachary ruins himself. Anyway, heading for website. I've already left the company. However, Jason has set his sights on me. He said, "Sister Selena, how about the plan I told you last time? Have you considered it?" Jason's plan is the escape from dad plan. He wants to go independent and start his own business. His father told him to stay in the company for a few years and be a good-for-nothing without being cheated by others. After I divorced Zachary, he suddenly thought he had found a new shortcut, which was to drag me into starting a business with him. In his words, his father highly approves of my ability to make money as a workaholic and my character. As long as it's a business with me, his father will definitely have no objections. At this moment, he started chattering again. Sister Selena, you've been resting for 3 months. No matter how rich you are, you can't rest like this. Every day you're resting is a day when you're losing RMB. Doesn't your heart ache? He said with great emphasis. Even the donkey in the production team doesn't dare to rest like this. I agreed to start a business with Jason. Originally, heading for Sylviad. When I sold my shares in Zachary's company at a high price, I wanted to start my own business. If I could rely on Jason's family, I could directly skip the initial difficult period. Jason even prepared the team in advance. Since there is an easy mode available, I have no reason to choose the hell mode to make things difficult for myself. On the opening day of the company that I partnered with Jason to start, I unexpectedly received a congratulatory gift from Zachary. Looking at the congratulatory gift from Zachary, Jason's eyes darkened. We can't accept the congratulatory gift from this love-brained person who doesn't care about the company's interests for the sake of his lover. What if we get infected with love brain? It will greatly affect our money making. Quickly throw this unlucky congratulatory gift out. Indeed. I nodded and threw the congratulatory gift from Zachary into the trash bin at the door. In the evening, during the company dinner party, Jason invited several of his wealthy second-generation friends. After drinking a few glasses of wine, he was probably used to joking with his friends before. He lifted up the clothes of one of his friends and said to me, "Sister Selena, see that? What's 6-pack ABS? This guy has an 8-pack ABS." He continued, "As long as you have money, you can change to someone with any number of ABS at will." I almost choked on my wine. Before I could stop Jason, a friend beside Jason quickly slapped Jason's hand away. "Put it down quickly. Ours is a proper company that doesn't cross the line. You're such a fool." Jason. Half a year later, at a business banquet, I met Zachary for the first time since I sold my shares in Zachary's family company. He looked a bit haggard. Calculating the time, Luna has already given birth. In the past, for Zachary's sake, heading fulfilled by amnesiac. Zachary's mother didn't break up with her husband's mistress even though there were problems in her marriage. She endured it until Zachary went to university, and then ended the marriage. Now, she probably gets angrier the more she thinks about it. So, she took all her anger out on Luna. When Luna was pregnant, she demanded a paternity test. In order to please her, Luna even had an amnesiac during pregnancy to do the paternity test. When Luna wanted to hold a wedding, Zachary's mother threatened and to commit suicide to stop it. She also posted on her WeChat moments to mock Luna. "Anything that can't be brought to the table doesn't deserve it." Half a month before Luna gave birth, she bought a plane ticket and went on a round-the-world trip. Before leaving, to irritate Luna, she posted on her WeChat moments again, "I can't stand the sight of unclean things," and so on. She has vividly played the role of a vicious mother-in-law. Every time I scroll through her WeChat moments, it's like watching a big drama between a mother-in-law and a daughter-in-law, making me almost forget the gentle way she used to call me dear in the past. Since I got divorced from Zachary and released the news of Zachary's infidelity during the marriage, it has already affected some of the company's partnerships. Since the opening of the company that Jason and I started, to celebrate our new journey, I also brought along the old customers from our previous business path. And we snatched a lot of orders from Zachary's family company. I admit that I did it on purpose. Since Zachary only wants true love, he shouldn't care about money. Coincidentally, I do care about money. I just want to make money. So, it's no wonder that Zachary is now in an uneasy situation both in the company and at home. It would be strange if he wasn't haggard. Luna is not like me in the past. Leaving aside her abilities, now she is pregnant and giving birth while also being busy with the battles between her and her mother-in-law. She can't help Zachary with the company's affairs at all. It's already good if she doesn't cause trouble. Of course, this is not within the scope of my concern. From the moment Zachary stabbed his mother in the heart for Luna. In my heart, he is no longer even considered a human being. But when I was about to pass by Zachary, Jason let out a low sigh. For some unknown reason. Suddenly took my arm and greeted Zachary, President Zachary. Zachary's eyes lingered on my arm held by Jason for a few more seconds. His expression changed several times. And finally, he calmly clinked glasses with Jason. Afterward, I scolded Jason, "Are you out of your mind?" Jason said, "Sister Selena, you're my cash cow now. Whatever concerns my cash cow is my business. I must help my cash cow get back at him." Me? I glanced at the handsome man in front of me whose face had turned dark. That is, the handsome man who didn't allow Jason to cross the line last time. I nodded without showing any emotion and then, with a mischievous heart, patted Jason's hand affectionately. The reason why Jason is so determined to start his own business is precisely because in the future, he may face the embarrassing situation of his father freezing his bank card and kicking him out of the house at any time for the sake of the handsome man in front of him. However, what he has to face now is the handsome man with the dark face who is already walked over. After doing a good deed and hiding my achievements and reputation, I turned around and left. The next day, Jason appeared in the office looking listless. He yawned and said, "Sister Selena. Listen. Thank you. Me, you're welcome." I'm so lucky to have you. In the blink of an eye. It was winter of another year. One late night, I suddenly received a call from Zachary. He called from an unfamiliar number. Hearing his voice unexpectedly, I frowned and was about to hang up the phone when he said in a hurry, "Selena, I remember everything." Me, "Oh. What bad luck." I'm sorry. Me, "I don't accept it. And I won't forgive you." The next day, I learned from Jason that a project of Zachary's company had failed. He was about to face a huge compensation payment. If he couldn't pay it, his company might go bankrupt. No wonder he finally thought of me. In the past 2 years, I've been busy expanding the company and have rarely paid attention to Zachary's personal affairs. Occasionally, when I take a few days off and go back to the company, Jason will look at me with resentful eyes. It's obvious that he's accusing me of slacking off and slowing down his pursuit of freedom. Damn it. Being a boss can also bring out the bitterness of an office worker. Who can understand? However, even in the city of A, which is not a small city, there are times when it seems small. Just half a year ago, Jason and I went out for dinner. When we were about to go home, we happened to run into Luna and Zachary arguing in the underground parking lot. It was because Zachary was suspected of cheating on Luna again. As the saying goes, there are only 2 situations regarding infidelity, 0 times or countless times. When I saw the 2 of them, Luna was hysterically shouting at Zachary, "Zachary, what the hell do you mean?" I was about to leave, but when I saw them arguing, I stopped the hand that was about to start the car. Don't ask. If you do, it's because I'm happy to see my enemy unhappy. Even if I'm on the verge of death, I can still sit up and gossip for a while. Looking up, Zachary impatiently shouted back, "Luna, are you crazy? That's just a client. Can you stop being unreasonable? You're becoming more and more like an unreasonable lunatic." Luna didn't show any weakness. Who meets a client for a whole day, not answering the phone or replying to messages? If you have a clear conscience, why don't you dare to answer the phone? Isn't this just like when you met me behind Selena's back then? Me. Damn it. Don't bring up the past about me. But I have to say, Luna, who managed to become the mistress, has much stronger vigilance than I did back then. Back then, when I was with Zachary, I basically didn't ask him where he was going. The 2 of them argued for a while longer. Then Zachary shook off Luna's hand, got in the car, and drove away. Luna was left alone in the parking lot, in tears. Not far away, when Luna turned around to drive, she saw me. She was taken aback for a moment and then wiped away her tears in a flustered manner. In this state, she looked just like a forsaken woman, which was a far cry from the innocent and vulnerable image she had when she came to provoke me. I smiled at her. TSK TSK. True love. After saying that, I also drove away. I don't know whether Zachary really cheated on Luna or not. As long as I know that they're not having a good time, I'm satisfied. I only have one sentence for them now: respect and blessings. Please lock yourselves together. However, after Zachary had problems in the company, he suddenly thought of our past and even called me late at night. Could he really be so naive as to think that with just one phone call, I would be so stupid as to go back and help him deal with the problems? I mean, Nanarolo, sorry. How could he think like that? Don't be so absurd. But you know what? He might really be that absurd. In the following month, he called me countless times. Even though I hung up the phone as soon as I heard his voice and blocked several of his numbers, he still persistently harassed me. When calling didn't work, he even despicably resorted to stalking me to disgust me. One day, after working overtime and getting off work, I saw Zachary standing outside the company. He hadn't shaved, and cigarette butts were scattered all over the ground. All in all, he exuded two words: dejection. I didn't bother to pay attention to him and just walked away. But he grabbed my hand. Selena. When he spoke, I smelled the alcohol on him. I shook off his hand in disgust. Zachary. Are you crazy? We've been divorced for more than 2 years. Is it interesting for you to pester me like this? He said in a hurry. Selena. I lost my memory back then. The person I love the most is still here. I didn't want to divorce you. Me? His words made me think of what the doctors said before: selective amnesia is actually caused by mental and psychological factors. When a person desperately wants to avoid someone or something, they may selectively forget. When Zachary had the car accident, he must have desperately wanted to avoid me. After all, at that time, my existence was an obstacle between him and Luna. So, after the car accident, he selectively forgot about me and the 10-year relationship we had. Then, let out a low sigh. Without hesitation and without any psychological burden, he ran towards Luna. Now, when his company is facing the same problems as before, he has thought of me, his ex-wife who once accompanied him through difficult times. It's just ridiculous. Selena. Zachary said again. I was just bewitched for a moment back then. I retorted. Bewitched? So you got together with Luna when I was pregnant? Bewitched? So you breathed a sigh of relief after I had an induced abortion? Bewitched? So you wished I left the marriage with nothing when we were getting a divorce? Zachary. Me, don't talk about whether you had amnesia or not. You just lost your memory. Not your wits. All the decisions you made after losing your memory were things you had already thought about before losing your memory. Zachary. I'm not a fool. Nor am I a 3-year-old child. If I were that easily deceived, your company would have collapsed at the very beginning of its establishment and couldn't have achieved what it has today. Zachary. Me, you're coming to me now just because there's a problem with the company's capital chain. After failing to ask countless people for help, you're trying to play the emotional card with me. But I'm not a garbage dump. Don't pester me anymore. Otherwise, heading so wise. I'll call the police. Zachary. He lowered his head dejectedly. Probably my threat of calling the police worked. Zachary didn't follow me for a while. Nor did he call me. The next news I heard about him was a few months later. The news of his company's bankruptcy. Jason was gloating while reading the news in the office. With one less competitor. My dad should be in a really good mood. Today, I'm going to take Alex home for dinner and celebrate with my dad. Alex was exactly the handsome man who had a black face at the business banquet. Jason seemed to have remembered something and his face lit up with joy. TSK. I told you that watching the CEO of a rival company ruin himself is also a great pleasure in life. I gave him a forced smile and exposed him. By the way, are you sure you're just watching? He gave me a blank look. It's like you have a clear conscience. Me. I do feel guilty. Apart from him ruining himself, I also played a part in Zachary's bankruptcy today. Not only did I snatch his orders, but when there was a problem with his company's capital chain and he was begging people everywhere for help, I anonymously sent messages to the people he was asking for help, saying that he had a bad character. After I sent the anonymous messages, Jason, in the identity of the young master of the Jason family. Helped to confirm them. Everyone is not stupid. No one wants to be the first person he tries to take down once he gets back on his feet. Just kidding. I hold grudges. Now. It seems so easy to talk about it. I just got a divorce from Zachary and gave up the 10-year relationship with him. But in order to give up this relationship, I was almost on the verge of death on the operating table back then. There was a massive hemorrhage during the operation. And I was rescued in the hospital. Otherwise, why would I have been hospitalized for so long for an induced abortion operation? But at that time, what was Zachary doing? He was accompanying Luna. And he probably was also plotting with Luna how to make me leave the marriage with nothing. So, as long as I can crush Zachary and make him lose everything without breaking the law, I will spare no effort. Didn't Luna say that they were truly in love back then? Now, it's time to test whether their love is true. I hope that after Zachary loses everything, she will still truly love Zachary and be able to stay with him. However, it seems that things didn't go as expected. 3 months after Zachary went bankrupt, when I came back from having dinner with friends in the familiar underground parking lot, I unexpectedly bumped into Zachary and Luna arguing. The reason was that after Zachary's bankruptcy liquidation, he still owed debts and couldn't support Luna anymore. Luna wanted a divorce. But Zachary didn't agree to it. Zachary, Luna, you want to distance yourself from me now and leave with a divorce. Let me tell you. No way. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have ended up like this. You know what? Zachary might be a failure as a person, but he's really good at shifting the blame. Of course. Luna wasn't to be outdone. She immediately fought back. Zachary, did I force you to sleep with me back then? You couldn't control your lower body yourself. Then, what out a low sigh. There was a string of extremely vulgar swear words. She started scolding. Beginning with the difficulties and harsh treatment that Zachary's mother had given her ever since she married Zachary, all the way to Zachary's extramarital affair. It was obvious that Luna had had enough of this marriage. Zachary counterattacked her with one sentence. If you hadn't known he was married and still had an affair with him, would you have been so despised by my mother? Would you have been so unpopular? Luna. I guess Luna had had countless ineffective conversations with Zachary during this period. Now, after being scolded by Zachary, she was so angry that she slapped Zachary. Slap. The sound of the slap was clear and loud. Zachary was stunned for a moment. Then, let out a low sigh. In a fit of anger, he pushed Luna to the ground and left while cursing. It has to be said that it was still so coincidental. When Luna wanted to chase after him and continue to pester him, she turned her head and saw me. Maybe she had been arguing with Zachary so much recently that she was out of her mind. Since she married Zachary, she talked to me for the first time. Selena, are you here to laugh at me? I thought about it and smiled triumphantly. I'm here to listen to the sound of your dream of marrying into a wealthy family shattering. Luna. It is said that the two finally got a divorce. And the child was awarded to Luna. Luna also took on some debts because of this and finally left City A with the child. I thought that from then on, Zachary and I would never see each other again. But City A was still too small. I met Zachary again 3 years later. At Renman Hospital. That day, Jason was severely beaten by his father. His father wanted to retire. And Jason seized the opportunity to come out to his father. His father was so angry that he threatened to break Jason's legs. Even though his father was getting old, he was still more than capable of beating Jason. When he said he would break his legs, he really did it without any exaggeration. I went to visit Jason with some fruits. After being fed a lot of couple affection, literally being shown a lot of romantic gestures between lovers, I bumped into Zachary when I came out. Zachary was sitting in a wheelchair. And Zachary's mother was pushing the wheelchair. Zachary was here for a follow-up visit. After he went for the follow-up visit, I accompanied Zachary's mother and chatted for a while. Zachary's mother said that Zachary had drunk too much some time ago. Probably because he owed a huge amount of debt. And finally, Zachary's father helped him pay it off. Having lost everything, he finally remembered. My goodness. He stared blankly at the wedding photo of him and me for a long time. And then, here and downstairs like crazy. She thought Zachary was just going downstairs to vent for a while and didn't pay much attention. She even mocked Zachary with words like, "Now that you have nothing left, you remember Selena's goodness. You'd better not think about it and don't disgust Selena." Who would have thought that after going downstairs, Zachary drove directly to look for me? He was drunk driving and speeding. And he had an accident and broke his leg. I thought that Zachary's mother had said so much to say a few good words for Zachary. I was even thinking about how to be polite. However, after Zachary's mother finished speaking, she calmly summarized, "Drunk driving is illegal and harms both others and oneself. Never learn from it." Me. After Zachary's mother finished summarizing, Zachary came out. Zachary's mother left on the pretext of going to the restroom and asked me to watch over Zachary for a few minutes for her sake. Okay. I understand. Zachary's mother told me all this just to let me meet Zachary alone. 5 or 6 years have passed. And I neither love nor hate Zachary anymore. But looking at his face, I still couldn't help being sharp-tongued. Especially when he said, "Selena." After the car accident, I suddenly remembered the oath I made to you a long time ago. I thought to myself, was it the oath, Selena? If I betray you in this life, I'll be worse than a pig or a dog. And I'll be struck by lightning? Yes. Zachary said again, "Now, is it that even God is punishing me?" I pondered for a moment. Then God is quite merciful. It could have just killed you directly, but it still left you alive. It wants you to see what a wonderful scene this prosperous world is. Just as you once wished. Zachary.